Hello, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world, and you, wonderful individual personality, you. Today, I would like to speak about how changing our own inner disposition and attitude towards the world, and also our past, our memories, and who we are, changes how we do activities and behave outwardly into the world. So, if we only cut ourselves off and our responsibility for ourselves, how we feel, how we think, how we do actions, and so on, and only focus on the outside world, we can blame a whole plethora of things for how we feel and how we are behaving and acting in the world. But in the end, we can never justify our behaviors to the fullest unless we ourselves reflect upon our own inner being. Now, the more we do reflect, become aware of ourselves, our own language, our own thoughts, and when I say language, is how we speak, how we utilize our language and the languages we know, of course, is directly affecting how we are affecting the world and the environments around us. It is in you as a person work on yourself, changes your interest over time, because that is what we do when we are healthy souls in spirit. Based on how we mature, we changes interest, we become interested in far more complex and deeper and expanded things over time. Of course, we do also have our small joys and small interest, of course, but in alignment with what we do learn in the world, on cultures, on the world, for example, it does change over time. So when we change our interests, we focus us in different directions out in the physical world. So the more interest we have in what is important at this day and age, which you have to come to your own understanding about. I cannot tell you these things because it's something you earn and learn through experience and through what is shown to you in your own life. For we all have different needs, different necessities to realign and readjust ourselves. And when you find out, the more you are capable of becoming dynamic and active in the world. Of course, we have limitations and we do have our inner sorrows and pains and sufferings and traumas and such that allows us or limits us in how we are capable of working into the world, but we all have different strengths. For example, I am left-handed and I am working very right-brained. So I am immensely imaginative and artistic in my language, in the way I operate, in the way I see the world. And it has a very spiritual and underlyingly alive way of seeing things. If you are a left-brain person, you see everything calculatingly in more of a measurement and meticulous way. And the thing we are, if we are to be a fully balanced human being, is to balance these as best as possible. For example, my imaginative and alive way should also come with a certain scientific inner faculty. That means that I should be capable over time, of course, it takes time, these things. I should earn the ability to meticulously utilize my own inner imaginative and artistic nature. And if I am to do that, I have to learn all of the ways, including the scientific method. So for me to be able to learn how in my imagination works, how it works into the world, having a teensy bit on how the scientific world thinks, operates, and utilizes their faculties for thinking, and so on, into my artistic purposes and what is the word? It aspirations. It becomes more whole. You allow yourself to be able to see things from more than just one angle. You see a tree from four angles, you start to see the whole tree. You need to see it from four different variable angles as to see the whole tree. So it's the same with us and the world. We can see it from our senses, we can see it from an idealistic standpoint, what can be through our own inner work and activity. We can see it through the mathematic, we can see it through well, the senses. We can see it through the realistic, the directly perceptible without any of our bias connotation to it. We can see it from the psychic, that means the underlyingly emotional intuition and clairvoyant imaginative faculties. We can see it from our own activities. We can see it from our own dynamic. That means, for example, when we see a rock falling to the ground, we do see, as a matter of effect, the gravitational forces taking hold of the rock down. You see the effect of the dynamic forces, just with magnetism and so on. Doesn't necessarily mean you know the underlying reasons and forces for it as of yet, but you still see them as an effect. And you can also see it from the monad. That means if you observe yourself passively without you taking into consideration your own freedom and inner activity, you only see yourself as moving passively from day to day without any form of your own inner activity. In the picture, you are in the monad. And there are many more. It's about 12 different of these. And then you have the underlying tones. You have from the will, you have from the emotions. Also, that means from our voluntarism, Mars. Or you have from mysticism, which is Venus. Or you have from logicism, Jupiter. Or you have from Gnosticism, Saturn. For example, empiricism, the sun, or the moon, occultism. It really is about how many of these can you really watch from the lenses of, and how many are you aware of. For there are only so and so many, and nothing is outside of that. You can always categorize certain things into one of these. So it's about being capable and able to maneuver within all of these flexibilities. And none of them are wrong, because every single area of these fits into their specific area of expertise and specialization. Like materialism and mathematism and such works perfectly well within studying outer physical forms, shapes, nature, and behaviors based on what we perceive with our senses. But they do not at all describe and explain why we have a lot of our own inner impulses as human beings, in contradiction to certain animals and the outer world in general. Because we do have a faculty of freedom here. We can act outside of what we would consider instinct. We have morality to take into consideration, which is an inheritance from our religious earlier life, but are still within us, being still cultivated anew as to be able to be a living, alive force within us in the future. If we don't cultivate it by ourselves these days, we will lose that inheritance and lose the sight of what it means to truly be beautiful inwardly. But I digress though. It truly is so much to learn in this world, and we are only about halfway in our development when it comes to truly being human, and it is a lot to learn yet. And the more I think about that myself, the more joyful and the more alive I become, because there's so much more to experience, so much more to feel and to think and to do actions about. So yeah, that is some things to reflect about, and that is why we study. That is why we study esoteric science. That is why we study spiritual science. It's to truly come to learn many of these different areas of this world, humanity, animals, plants, minerals, us humans, angels, archangels, the archai, the second hierarchy and the first hierarchy, the Christ, and anything in most very different areas. And also Eastern mythologies, Eastern religions, and so on. All of these has to be taken into consciousness, and to be able to truly learn about them in a more objective way than putting biases and opinions on them. For our opinions often leads to 2 cents. What can you buy for 2 cents these days? Nada. So it's about truly coming into authenticity, the essence of who we are, so we can truly work into the world in a healthy, loving, and nurturing way, in a supportive way. And knowing our limitations, and knowing that there are certain things we cannot perceive today yet, but they will come as long as we hold faith and hold a sturdy, consistent curiosity and to enthusiasm and initiative to learn about these things. For the higher worlds do meet us. When we are ready for it, we will be gaining the insights we need as to move forward. And that is what I will leave you with today. Thank you so much for listening to me. May you be protected, guided, blessed, loved by Father, Holy Spirit, Christ, Michael, angel masters of old, ancestors from every incarnation, and may you be provided for with all that you need to survive, live, thrive, being creative, inspirational, and healing to the world, so others can choose to follow when time is right and courage is most high. Thank you so much. See you. Goodbye.